All right, from fashion and video to grocery carts. I actually think Scott Galloway earlier today said something to the effect of, what a terrible business online grocery is. Only Jeff Bezos can get into it. I think our next speaker, Nilam Ganenthiram, would disagree. He has a startup called Instacart, and it is doing what I've dreamt of for many, many years, which is taking the things on the shelves close to you and bringing them to your home. And he's doing that in a way that I think has a lot of lessons for all of us. So please help me join me in welcoming Nilam to Signal.
Thank you, John. First of all, who's hungry and who's worried about what's for dinner? All right, if we were in Cincinnati, you'd have dinner at home within an hour, at least the ingredients to make dinner at home within an hour. Thank you all for having me. My name is Nilam Ganenthiram. I head up business development and strategy for Instacart. It's a real pleasure to be here today. Some of you may already know about Instacart, some of you may not. What I'm gonna do today is do a very quick introduction, and I'm gonna spend most of the time talking about what we're learning from consumers. John mentioned, grocery delivery, online groceries are nothing new. So we've spent a lot of time learning about what the consumer has told us have been their historical truths that have prevented them from buying their groceries online. And I'll talk about how we've responded to that and then finish with some learnings. So what is Instacart? We're a retailer marketplace. We connect consumers to the groceries they love from local grocery stores. And we allow consumers to place an order right now and have groceries delivered to their homes in as little as 1 hour. So no cable guy problem, no sitting around waiting for 4 hours. And most importantly, we offer the full assortment that these local grocers have. Not only do we do 1 hour delivery, we also offer in-store pickup, which is another option for consumers. We're currently in 13 major US metros. We've publicly announced plans to be in 17 to 20 by the end of this year. What have consumers told us, and what have been the historical barriers to grocery e-commerce? None of this is going to be a surprise to you, but what I'm going to play through is kind of the 4 big truths that we have learned from consumers. First one, I do not want to buy my groceries online because I don't trust the quality of the produce and meat and other items that I will be getting. I'm going to end up with someone's leftovers or what's at the end of the shelf in the warehouse. I can't let someone else pick my avocados. I can't tell you how many times I've heard consumers concerned about avocados. And then most importantly, consumers form a trust with their local grocer to have the highest quality produce and meat, the best cuts of meat, their local butcher. And many of these grocers don't even have websites. As a result, why would a consumer want to transact online? The next truth is speed. There have been existing grocery e-commerce plays for 20 years, Webvan being the most famous one. But if you think about what they do and even what our competitors do today, it lacks the speed. Who has the time to sit around waiting around for 4 hours, waiting for the ingredients you need to make the meal for the dinner party you're about to have? And they're going to show up anywhere between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. So if it's 6 p.m., great, I've got enough time to whip something together. If it's 9 p.m., I'm out of luck. Think about the panic situation a young parent has, and I had this weekend actually. We were digging around for diapers, and I realized we had 2 diapers left in the household, and it was a Saturday. I had a bunch of stuff to do, and when I noticed I had 2 diapers left, you can imagine what I did. I just ran out the door to make sure that we were stocked up. So speed has been a huge historical barrier, and the next one is choice. Consumers like grocery shopping to the degree that it allows them to find new products. Consumers have told us, I like walking down the aisles. I like being able to explore new products and find new things. I'm worried about choosing something online that I think it's the right flavor variant of Heinz ketchup, but then I end up with the one that I don't actually like. Or I have very specific tastes around seasonal items. So think about the cocktail grapefruit, which is only in season for 3 weeks a year. And there's only a few stores that sell cocktail grapefruits. How do I make sure I can get those online? Last one is ease. I don't have space for big crates to be left at my doorstep. There are just too many choices. If you think about your average grocery store, 18,000 to 24,000 SKUs, how can a consumer easily navigate that? And if you think about some other grocery e-commerce plays, it's not like you're buying an electronic or some sort of hard line, which is fairly easily spec'd. A cocktail grapefruit is not an easy thing to spec out. So how do you make it easy for a consumer to wade through all of those choices? Imagery is another big piece. Imagery is not a big deal for UPC'd items, but think about imagery of something that's only in season for a week. So we don't want consumers to make it a guessing game, and historically it has been a guessing game on what they're buying and what they're going to end up with. Is this resonating with people, or are there other things that have prevented you from buying online? I mean, feel free to throw a couple out if there's ones I've missed. Price, yeah, that's the one we hear the most if you go on Twitter. Basket size, tell me more about that one.
And you need to be $50 or higher.
That's a great one, yeah. Any others? Perfect. So let's talk about how Instacart, and it's been an evolution. Let's talk about, we're a 2.5-year-old company, and we've evolved as we've heard all of these from our consumers to try to take away some of these barriers. First, at our heart, we're an IT company. More than 65% of our headcount is in engineering. And at the heart of being an IT company and a software company is cutting-edge technology. We have built an app and a shopper app on the back end that allows our personal shoppers, who I'll talk to you about a little bit more, who are centered to our model, to be able to efficiently navigate the myriad of choices. And our database currently has 385,000 SKUs, unique SKUs, and be able to pick the right avocado, pick the right cocktail grapefruit. It also allows our personal shoppers to deal with a situation that happens in grocery all the time, out of stocks. We built an algorithm on the back end to be able to intelligently recommend to our personal shopper, and hence recommend to our consumer, what they should replace an item with if the original item that the consumer ordered is out of stock. The next piece ties directly to speed. Our answer to speed, I mentioned, is 1 hour windows. The number one question I get in forums like this is, how do you make 1 hour work? The biggest way we make 1 hour work is with data. We have an entire data science team that has built a fulfillment algorithm that has 17 different variables, and I'm not going to get into the details on all 17, but essentially those variables allow us to specifically tell the consumer, with a great degree of, high degree of probability that their groceries are going to arrive at their doorstep between 7 or 8, or 8 or 9. If we don't believe it's going to if our algorithm tells us that it's going to take us 2 hours to pick this order and 15 minutes to check out and an hour to drive that order home, the consumer will not see a delivery window that's available until 3 hours later. It's all about not disappointing the consumer and not keeping them waiting around. That way they can plan the rest of their day. The other, aside from technology, the big secret sauce of Instacart is our concierge personal shoppers. So our team that's doing the pick, pack, and deliver are all contractors to Instacart. We train them. We give them a half-day training in person on everything. We talked about the avocados, get them licensed to do liquor. We teach them about the different cuts of meat, a myriad of grocery topics. We insure them, and then most importantly, we let our consumers manage them for us. How do we do that? After every Instacart experience, the consumer rates their experience on a 5-star scale. We use those 5-star ratings to not only validate and justify that we're doing a good job, but manage the pool. If you're consistently in the bottom quartile on our 5-star rating scale, we have a series of actions that go into place to make sure you're either improving or get weeded out. The other piece is we compensate our personal shoppers at an above market wage, and it's tied directly to performance. It's 100% variable compensation, and it's essentially tied to how many deliveries they're making, how many items they're picking, and how well they're meeting their customer service scores. The marketplace also is intelligent. So we talked about 385,000 unique UPCs or PLUs on Instacart, but we talked about a consumer just not having the mental bandwidth to being able to sort through all that. So the intelligent marketplace basically evolves based on your own purchase history. So the Instacart marketplace, what you see today will be very different than what you see tomorrow once you place a purchase on Instacart. Our algorithms in the background are presenting to you product choices which we believe make sense for you based on your purchase history. We also make it easy for you to reorder your entire order from a previous basket with a single click, order all the ingredients from a recipe. We have over 2,000 recipes in our database. With a single click, you can order every item in the recipe. In addition, recently we've added a lot of features that have made it even simpler for consumers to shop. We had consumers telling us, we love shopping with you, but my wife and I both work at different offices and we shop from different accounts and we don't want to manage 2 different accounts or share passwords, etc. So what we created is a co-shopping feature where you, a family member, a group of individuals can just kind of trade off. Imagine you're having a barbecue, it's a Sunday and there's 12 different friends getting together and everyone's bringing a different ingredient. You could share a link with your basket and at the end of the day, one person does the checkout. So we're building those type of simplified shopping features every day. So given that's how we're responding to the consumer, but we're learning new things every day about what the consumer is continuing to demand. So now what? What are we learning that we are trying to meet the needs of consumers for over the next few years? The first trend we're seeing is around instant gratification. We're hearing from consumers that 1 hour is too long. Consumers want instant gratification, and they don't only want it instantly, but they want it in a premium fashion. So they want their groceries quicker, but they want to maintain that concierge experience that I talked to you about that our personal shoppers are providing. The second key thing we're hearing from consumers is, it's a little bit from consumers, but it's also from our retail partners. Terms of trade are changing. If you think about the old world, it was about the manufacturer, distributor, retailer, consumer. With companies like Instacart, retailers are thinking about our role in the entire value chain quite differently. CPG partners are thinking of us as either a customer or a new trade partner very differently, and those are leading to interesting conversations. The third is the influence of the crowd. Everyone talks about the influence of the crowd from a social perspective, so what people are talking about on social media, etc. We think of the influence of the crowd both from that perspective, but also from the perspective of our shopper stakeholders. So how are our shoppers, our personal shoppers who are so core to our model, feeling about their experience? That's why it's so important for us to pay them an above market wage. Other points on terms of influence of the crowd is I mentioned using our consumer feedback to manage the shopper pool for us. That's how we use consumers and the crowd to directly influence our decisions on an operating level from our personal shopper's perspective. And the fourth ties kind of to all of these 3 earlier themes is real-time prototyping. So when we launched Instacart 2.5 years ago, we had a standard sequence that any startup goes through in terms of building a prototype, piloting it, getting it out to market. What we're finding is the speed at which consumers are demanding new features. The list feature, for example, is increasing, and it's increasing exponentially. Hence, we're trying to find new and improving ways to be able to move from pilot to operations quicker. I'm exactly out of time, so thank you very much.
I just want to ask you a quick question. Probably some of these folks are a little nervous because if everyone's getting their groceries this way, what happens to the end cap?
No, it's a great question.
Will you be providing some virtual equivalent of the promotions and end capping and that kind of stuff that manufacturers and retailers can do now?
Yes. So our philosophy on that is, again, it's guided by the consumer. On Instacart.com, you will see no advertising, and that's because we do not want to detract from the consumer shopping journey. What you will see the opportunity for brands to do is integrate things like recipes or beauty regimens, which we think is truly additive to the consumer experience.
Again, we get back to content.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
All right, take care.